everyone, I'm Janneke and welcome back to my channel Books and Stitches. This video will be all about books. If you follow me for my book content, you may have noticed that it's been a while. I am aware of that. I'm sorry. I'm hoping to make it more consistent going forward. But yeah, this video will be all about books. I have been reading, which is nice. Reading is going relatively well, actually. But I've also been planning for next year. So going forward into next year, I want to consistently make reading videos as well as cross stitch videos. So I'm hoping to film and edit and post like one video a month for each. And I figured the best way to start that is by telling you all of my goals. I don't know what just happened, but I'm back. Yeah, so I wanted to share all of my reading goals with you. So I recently made a list of things I wanted to do and I put it into kind of like a bingo board type thing. So I am going to show you. First of all, my goal is to read 25 books. That is my goal this year as well. It's going pretty well. I have read 22 books and I'm probably gonna finish the 23rd tomorrow. And then I still have like most of November, half of November, and all of December to read 2 more books. So I think that should be fine. But that will also be my goal for next year. I have drawn 25 flowers on this page and I will just color one in every time I finish a book. So there's nothing more specific about that. Just I want to read 25 books. Then for the more specific things, I made 16 prompts for myself. Now those can double up. That is completely fine because there are too many books to read for me. Just how often I can read. I can't read everything if every book can only take one box. So they can double up. That's fine. But I just made 16 prompts and then I numbered them and spun random numbers to like decide the order of my bingo board. So this is my bingo board. I will show you first real quick and then I will go into it. But as you can see, they all have like little boxes underneath them. That's how many books or things I would need to complete for that. And so I can just color that in whenever I finish something. So starting at the top, it says read 3 sequels. I have a lot of series I've read like the first book of or the first 2 books of. So I really want to continue some series. I don't necessarily have to finish them. I don't have to read the entire series, but I just want to read 3 sequels. I want to continue. It can be in one series. I can continue just one series and read the next 3 books in it. Or I can just read the next book in 3 different series. That's all fine, but I really want to continue some series. Then next we have read 3 middle grade novels. I read mainly YA, so I have put some different like age brackets on here as well, because I do own middle grade books that I really want to read. I own adult books, non-fiction books. Those will both come up as well. So I would like to read 3 of them. I'm not sure which. I'm considering maybe The Land of Stories, because I have read the first 5 in that series. So I could do that for read a sequel as well as for a middle grade novel. So that's a potential book. But I have a lot of Dutch classics as well that are middle grades. I have some English classics that could be considered middle grade, like Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan. So I have a lot of middle grade books that I haven't read yet. Then next up is to reread either Percy Jackson or the first 5 books in the Ranger's Apprentice series. Those were 2 of my favorite series as a kid, and I read them in Dutch, and I have since, in the past couple of years, gotten them in English, and I've not read them yet in English, and I really want to. Partly just to like reminisce and be like all nostalgic, and also just because, yeah, I did love those series so much. So the Ranger's Apprentice series, like the main series, is 11 books. I'm not counting any spin-off series for both Percy Jackson or Ranger's Apprentice. So if I were to read that entire series, that would be like half my reading for the year. So I've decided to just go with the first 5. So I don't know yet if I want to reread Percy Jackson or Ranger's Apprentice. I mean, I want to reread both, but which one I want to reread first. So I figured just whenever next year I can decide if I want to pick up The Lightning Thief, or I'm not sure what the first book is actually in the Ranger's Apprentice. Is it just maybe it's just the Ranger's Apprentice? I know the second one is The Burning Bridge. I think the first one might just be The Ranger's Apprentice. I don't know if it has a title besides that. Either way, that is a book series by John Flanagan. I think that book series is a lot less popular than Percy Jackson, but it was very popular in the Netherlands, like the translations. Everyone in my school was reading them. So yeah, I really love them and I want to reread them. This is the one like section that I'm not counting double on. Like for some fronts it will be able to count double, but like I'm not counting these as middle grades or sequels, because then that would be basically the same thing, because they are both middle grades and there are 5 books I would read for sequels no matter what. So those cannot count double in that way. This is the only thing that can't double up, but I just wanted to keep these like specific. There's a prompt about like page count or the color of the book. It can count double up with those prompts, but not with read this many middle grades or read series. Then the next prompt is to read 3 science novels. I really enjoy going to YALC, so I have a lot of science novels that I got at YALC that are personalized that I have not yet read. I also have some signed editions from like the Waterstones edition, or I recently started subscribing to the Illumicrate Afterlight box, which those are signed. So it doesn't have to be personalized, but I want to prioritize my signed editions. I would like to read some personalized ones though, but yeah, it can't really be any of them. Then next is read 5 YALC 2023 purchases. That is the biggest one on it. I have another that's 5, but I don't have anything else that's like bigger than 5. But I know myself, I usually buy a lot of books at YALC, and I want to read them. I want to really prioritize the books that I recently bought, I guess. So I have not bought any of these yet, because YALC hasn't happened yet, but it is happening in a couple of days and I'm so excited. I don't know if this video will be up before or after then, but yeah, I'm very excited about it. And I just know I'll be buying a lot of books. I want to try to read at least 5 of them. Yeah, that's the only YA that's on the list as well, because like my main urges, I guess, go to YA, so I didn't want to put YA as a separate thing. But considering these will be YALC purchases, it's most likely going to be YA. I have bought like some middle grade and some adult novels at YALC as well, but I mean, it's the young adult literature convention. The majority of the books you can buy there are young adults. And they're all super fun and I want them. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm literally leaving for London the day after tomorrow when I'm filming this, so it's like all I can think about. But yeah, I want to read 5 books there. And those can get signed and count for the signed box as well. But it could also be like at the stalls. They have a lot of books that are like buy 2, get a third one free. And I always get convinced to buy them. So those aren't signed. So those can count for YALC purchases, but not for the signed books. I mean, you get it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but whatever, I'm just over-explaining. Next will be to read 2 books that are 400 pages or longer. That is mostly because I was running out of ideas and I wanted to fill like 16 boxes. And my mom was like, I asked my mom, like, hey, do you have any like reading prompts? And she was like, oh, maybe read a book over 300 pages. And I looked at the books I'd read this year and I realized the majority of them are over 300 pages. But I'm not as likely to pick up a book if it's longer than 400 pages. If it's like 400 or 500 pages, I'm not very likely to pick it up, even though I own some that I really do want to read. So yeah, I would like to read 2 books that are over 400 pages. Then, as I mentioned, I have subscribed to the Illumicrate Afterlight box, so I would like to read 2 Afterlight specials. Right now I only own 2 because I subscribed not in the November month, but before, so I guess it's September, right? think so. So I got Cleat Cute in September, and I got the November box, not this year's November box, because this one didn't really seem that appealing to me, but I got last year's November box instead, because they had some extra on their shop. And that one, I don't remember the title, but it was like a Christmas book that looks really cute. So that could work as well, but also I'll obviously be getting more Afterlight specials throughout the year in 2024. And honestly, I might read the Christmas book from last year's November box in this December, because it sounds really cute and I want to read something Christmassy around Christmas. So who knows, but I'll be getting more throughout the year. So I just want to have read at least 2 of them. Also partially to decide if I want to like keep Afterlight, because I really love the boxes. And I've gotten 2 boxes so far and I really love them. But going forward into 2024, they're going to be book only subscriptions rather than with like the items and stuff. So I want to read the books to like get an idea of how much I like the books they give, to decide if I still want to continue that. Because the real appeal to me to the boxes was that they were mystery boxes of like items and stuff that, I mean, those are very popular, but most of the ones I see are fantasy boxes, and I'm not really interested in fantasy books. And this was a romance box, so I was super excited when I got off the wait list. But yeah, so I'm kind of disappointed they are now no longer including items going forward into 2024. It will also be monthly instead of bi-monthly. So yeah, I just want to read at least 2 books to decide if I want to continue the subscription or not. So far I think I will, but I will be like more picky about which months I will get and which I will skip. But you can just skip months easily, so that's fine. But yeah, when I bought it with the expectation of paying it every other month, so I'll probably keep doing that and just skip half of the books. But we shall see. After that, it is 2 fantasy novels. You remember how I just said I wasn't really into fantasy? I buy a lot of fantasy novels. I have managed to not really buy many in the last couple of years because I just know that I'm not reading them, but I have a lot of fantasy novels that I really want to read, that I've bought because they sounded so interesting and I just never pick up. So I really want to read at least 2 of them. The first one that comes to mind is the sequel to Castles in Their Bones. I think it's called Stardust in Their Veins. It's by Laura Sebastian. I read Castles in Their Bones last year, I believe, and I really enjoyed that. So I would like to continue that series. But there are a lot of fantasy books that I own that I haven't read. Six of Crows is on there. I think that's fantasy. It's at least in the same like category in my mind. I don't know if there's like magic or not in that world, but that's on there. The Raven Cycle is on there. There are so many on there. So yeah, I own a lot of fantasy books that I haven't read. So I want to read those. And then the next one is Read the Rainbow. So that's the biggest one with 7 books, but that basically just means I want to read a red book, an orange book, a yellow book, etc. So that is the biggest one, but it's also the easiest, I think, to just check off without even really trying. But I am really excited about that one. So I don't have to read them in order, so I can just read a purple book in January without having read the others first. But I would just like to read the rainbow. It would be nice if there are some queer books in there, but it doesn't have to be. It's just really only about the color. And honestly, I read a lot of queer books already, so there probably will be some in there, but we shall see. Then the next one is to read 2 nonfiction books. Again, I own a lot of nonfiction books. Actually, not that many. It's my smallest category of books, but I own nonfiction books that I want to read. And so I should read them, and I never pick them up. One that comes to mind is, I don't remember the title of it, but it's like The Amazing Teenage Guide to Autism or something like that. I own a couple of autism specific nonfiction books that I really want to get to. I also own a Dutch anthology of like queer people telling their stories that I really want to read. And yeah, I own a couple nonfiction books that I would like to get to. Then the next one is to read two old books or TBR veterans. Um, yeah, I added TBR veterans because when I was reading back, I was like, old books, like that could mean books that I've owned for a while, but it could also just mean like classics, like Shakespeare. And I wanted to specify for myself that I mean TBR veterans. It doesn't matter what year it was printed, I just want to read books that have been on my TBR for a really long time. I don't currently have books that are coming to mind when I say that, because the books that were like in my head as a staple of, oh, those I have had for years and years and I need to read them, I actually read this year. So I'm very happy with that. There are like two books that I was like, oh, I've owned those for forever and I need to read them. Those One of those was Ketchup Clouds by Annabelle Pitcher, I believe, and the other was I own the Dutch version of it, so I don't know what the original title was, but it would translate to like Julia's Journey. Um, Neither of which I really liked, I'll be honest with you. So, but I did read them. So I don't know off the top of my head which ones are on there for a really long time, but I have some. I know I have some. So I just like to read two of the ones that I've owned for years and years and years and just never pick up. Then one that could be one book, it could be 10 books, is to finish a series. It will probably just be one book. I have two series that are coming to mind right away where I like only have to read the last books, series that I really like. One of which is The Land of Stories, which I have read 5 of the main 6 books. There are some like separate books that are connected to the series, and I know there's A Tale of Magic as like a spin-off series, but I'm just counting the main 6 books for that. And there's also this A Spinsters Club or The Spinsters Club by Holly Bourne. I have read the first 2 in that trilogy and I really love them. So I really want to finish that series as well. That is contemporary, not fantasy. And it's about 3 friends and it has like a feminist focus, especially the book that I haven't read yet. That's like very heavily focused on feminism. And I really love all of the Holly Bourne books I've read. So I really want to finish that series as well. Though that one I think has a 4th novella that I also own. So I don't know if I'll count that as part of the series or like with The Land of Stories, I'll count it as separate. It does continue the story of the main characters, unlike the Land of Stories like spin-off. So I think that would also count for me as a series. So I would have to read like the 3rd book, which is What's the Girl Gotta Do, as well as the novella that I own. Sorry, it's not a big deal. I own it and it's small. But then I really want to read a book about an asexual character. That is a very personal prompt. I am pretty sure I'm asexual, and I have some books about asexual characters that I really want to read but never have because I don't want to face any internal questioning about my sexuality by myself. I'm pretty sure I'll be confronted with some things I don't really want to face. Then I read it, but I also feel like I have to face those things. So I really want to read a book with an asexual character. Specifically, I really want to read Loveless by Alice Oseman because I've heard a lot of good things about that, but I own 1 or 2 other books with asexual characters, which I would also be okay with instead. So I don't know if I'll read Loveless or another one, but I really do want to read about an asexual character. Then the next one is another really personal one. I want to read 2 books about autism. That can mean one of the nonfiction autism books I have, but I also have a lot of books in which a main character has autism. Those would count as well. It doesn't really matter if it's fiction or nonfiction. But I do want either the main character to have autism and that really be like a part of the story, or one of my nonfiction books. It's basically for the same reason as asexual books. I am autistic. That I am sure about, unlike the asexuality. I am 100% sure about the autism. And I really appreciate reading representation. I've read a couple of books with great autistic representation this year, so I really want to continue that. Not what I'm going to read next year, because I read it this year, but A Kind of Spark by I forgot her name, Elle McNichol, maybe? Something along those lines. It's amazing. It's a middle grade book that is absolutely fantastic. autistic representation. It's like the book I wish I had when I was like 12 or 13. So I read that and absolutely loved it. So definitely recommend that if you're interested in any autism books. It's a fiction book, but it's just great. There's also a BBC or some British channel has made a series of it. I've not been able to watch that yet. But I really want to, so I'm hoping it will come to Dutch streaming sometime soon. But I've seen some clips which made me really interested in reading the book, and I bought the book and loved it. So yeah. Then there are two more prompts, one of which is to read five adult novels. This is the same as like the middle grade. I own a lot of adult novels that I want to read. This one is bigger because as I'm getting older, I do still absolutely love YA and middle grade, and I want to keep reading that, but I also want to be more familiar with adult novels. I want to move into that space as well and like find out what I like and dislike in that space. So yeah, I want to read 5 of them. Those will probably all be romance novels because in general, those are the only adult novels I'm really interested in. There might also be some cozy mysteries because I've started getting really into those, but I don't own any yet. So who knows? I might buy some because they are starting to seem really interesting. And I got a couple on Stuff Your Kindle Day or whatever it's called. There were a couple of free ones one day, so I got a couple that I have like on my phone. So yeah, those could be in there as well, but it'll probably be romance. And then the last one is to read 2 library books. So my main goal with reading is really to, I think my phone just moved. I'm sorry about that. My main goal with reading is really to read the books I already own because I own a lot of books, but I also am now volunteering as a library and absolutely loving it. And like, I think it's great and I want to read some books from the library as well, basically. Sometimes when I'm like putting books away, I just see something that seems really interesting and fun, and I want to like make sure the library continues to exist, I guess. But really, I just want to pick up at least 2 books from the library. I think this would also be a good way to like try out some things that I'm not sure about, because I really want to read an Agatha Christie, but I have no idea where to start because there's so many. And I also have no idea if it's something I would be into or not. So I figured I could, for example, just look up in my local library if we have any English language Agatha Christie books, because I do want to read them in English. And if we do, I'll just start with whichever one we have. And then I can use that book to decide if I like Agatha Christie books or not. So that's just an example. But also, like I said, when tidying away books, there are often books that I see that I'm like, ooh, that sounds fun. Or, oh, I've heard a lot about that one. But books I'm not sure I want to buy, but that I see when I'm picking them up. So this year I read the first 2 volumes of Heartstopper through my library because I had heard so much about them, and I just, they were in my hands when tidying them away, and I was like, I should give these a try. So that is a great example as well. I never bought them because I thought it was too expensive for me to buy them. I have that issue a lot with graphic novels because I understand why they're the same like price range as normal novels, but I spend so much shorter of amount of time on them. I usually finish a graphic novel in a day instead of like a couple of weeks like normal novels. So for me personally, it's just not financially viable, especially if I don't even know if I'll like it yet. So, but I read those through the library, so that was a lot of fun. I only read the first 2 volumes, and I wasn't really that interested in continuing with the 3rd volume, but I still really enjoyed the first 2. So, yeah, that's basically my library prompt. It's to try things out that my library has that I'm unsure of whether or not I'll like it, mainly. But those are my goals. So yeah, I'm so excited about them. I have no idea if it's feasible to do all of them. It will probably depend on if I read books that tick multiple boxes or not. But my idea currently is to just start the year either reading what I want. So if I'm like in the mood for a certain book, I'll just read that. But if I don't have a certain book I'll like, I'm planning on just like spinning a wheel or rolling a dice or something to like figure out which books I want to focus on. So for example, there are 16 boxes, I'll spin an 8 in a random number picker. Then I've got read 2 fantasy novels. So then I can like specifically look at my fantasy novels. Because what I have realized this year is that I find reading a lot easier and a lot more fun when there's a select couple of books I can choose from. So like for example, in preparation for going to York this year, I pulled out all the books I have by authors who were going to be at York that I hadn't read yet. And I wanted to read one book by every author going to York. I didn't manage to do that, but I did read a lot of them because it really helped me that I just like had this small pile of like 10 books that I really wanted to read. So yeah, I think that would help me a lot in my reading and like motivating me, and also in picking up some books I maybe wouldn't normally pick up. Again, like I said, I read for fun, so I do want to focus on reading for fun. So if I really want to read a book, I'll just pick it up and read it. But if I'm like unsure about what I want to read, this could be really helpful. And I am already looking forward to using it because I am nearly finished with the last book I will be reading before York. And then I'm like, and then what? Because like I said, the goal was to read these books before York. So I'm already like, what am I going to be reading after York? There's still like a month and a half before this starts, and I have no idea what to read. So I think it would really help me to have like some guidelines. It's also why I always love readathons. My main issue with readathons is that I just don't have enough energy to complete them, and I always want to complete them. So I think having this be a year-long thing will be really helpful. Yeah, that is really all I wanted to share with you. It's a bit early for 2024 goals. I'm aware of that, but I was so excited about them. But if you have any 2024 goals, let me know, please. I'm so excited to hear about them. And yeah, I just absolutely love goals with everything, no matter what. I just love setting specific goals and working towards them, like ticking off boxes. So this is great for me, and I also love watching other people talk about their goals. So if you have any goals, let me know, whether that's through a comment or just saying, hey, I talked about that in this video, go watch it. That's also super cool because I love those types of videos. So yeah, just tell me about your reading goals for 2024 if you have them. If you don't have them, that's also cool. Just you can let me know as well, like, why don't you have them? Do you prefer it that way, or did you just not think of it, or what? You know, like I think a big deal, not a big deal, but a big part of the reason why I have them now is that I don't have school anymore. So I have a lot more freedom in my reading, a lot more time to read. So when I had school, I didn't have the energy or time for this at all. So yeah, just let me know if you have goals and why you do or why you don't. Wow, I'm so rambling. I'm so out of practice. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please leave a like or a comment and subscribe. And I hope I will see you next time. I'm hoping to do a video after York about York. So hopefully sometime towards the end of November, there will be another reading video, booktube video on here. But at least in 2024, I'm planning on making more consistent videos. So